Jesus made a statement several times during his ministry that has been kind of a bugaboo with ministers and for a long time. It's been confusing, and I have been asked to comment on this. I've kind of tipped my hat at this idea several times, but I've never really gotten into the nitty-gritty of it. And so it came up that a couple months ago, would you talk about it on a Sunday? So here we are. After several of healings performed through Jesus, spiritual healing, miracle healings, as we might call them, and then his disciples had witnessed these healings, of course, and it was after the transformation that he said. Jesus said, oftentimes after the healing was complete, tell thou no man. Then after his transfiguration, the disciples wanted to know why. Okay, why not? And he said, see thou tell no man. And that means no woman either, of course. So there's a tendency in consciousness of those who were healed, to which Jesus directed this sentence, this idea. Don't go around telling anybody about this healing. So to understand the concept, I believe, necessary for us to remind ourselves of the creative power of the spoken word. We talk about this frequently here, how our words have power, either positive or negative. We have choice. We make a choice, okay? But there's tremendous power in the spoken word. And as I've said numerous times, and one more time I'm going to say it, Jesus said, let all your words be yea, yea, and nay, nay, yes or no. Because the power in the spoken word will eliminate or release from consciousness that which we no longer need or want or desire. No. Yes. And some people have problems saying no. No. I see it. No is a perfectly good word to use. No. Thank you. No, I don't need that. No, I am not accepting what I'm reading or hearing or seeing on TV or whatever, if it's a non-truth. And we make that decision. We make the choice. Is it true? Is it true about God? Is it true about a spiritual being? Is this God sustained and ordained or not? Power in the spoken word. Okay. Many years ago, when whenever I talk about the power in the spoken word, that was what I was asked to speak on when I went to Unity headquarters to appear before a battery of ministers, and I was to give a talk on the power of the spoken word. And before I was licensed, and I honest to God, I really do believe this with all my heart, that there's power in the spoken word. And when I finished, it was interesting because there's 27 ministers there observing, listening, picking apart, if necessary, what was said and how it was said and so on. Afterward, one of the ministers came up to me and said, "You really do believe that, don't you?" I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. Yes. So there's tremendous power in the spoken word. We need to think about the words that we're saying verbally and what kind of conversations are we having in our head. Okay? So anyway, the more we believe in what we say, the more quickly the utterance will be reproduced in our lives. What are we planning? What are we thinking into manifestation in our life and affairs? So anyway, in his miracles of healing, Jesus treated conditions that were thought incurable. And I want to tell you right now that there has been so many situations, body conditions that have been healed totally, completely, without a reoccurrence in unity. It's true today, just like it was over 2,000 years ago. We use the principles that Jesus Christ taught, and healings take place. So, silent unity, and here in our own church, and I am not at liberty to share, but I want to tell you, I know of healings that were absolutely wonderful, unexpected, complete with some of our folks right here. So anyway, so these conditions, I might say, were deeply rooted in the minds of the people, of the victims, as we might say, as well as in the minds of the general population, the same as today. Sometimes when we go through a healing need, we feel as though we're victims. We feel as though there's no answer, particularly if a doctor or someone with some kind of a title says, this is really bad. Boy, okay? We internalize that, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's the truth as far as they are concerned, as far as their knowledge. But there's a higher power at work, always. A higher power at work. And that power is God. So too much talk about the healing would hold the attention, okay, hold our attention on, and everyone else's attention on the condition rather than the healing. We tend to do that in our humanhood. We tend to think about the condition. We think about it over and over and over and over and over. I think you hear me. I think you understand what I'm saying. And as much as we can, as frequently as we can, we need to release that and replace it with the truth of our being, not the condition, not what the doctor said, not what man says, but what does God say about this? What does God say about this? Okay, that's what we're interested in. So Jesus knew that for everyone who had experienced healing, to stay healed, he must himself be in a new consciousness, a new awareness, a new condition, rather than dwelling on the old. Well, I remember when. Have you heard people say that? I remember when, oh my God, I had this, and oh gee whiz, okay. Here we go. We're bringing it right to the fore. We're bringing it right up to the fore again, okay? If we want to do that, that's fine. But doggone it, I don't. I don't want to. Give thanks for whatever healing you have had and go forward. Okay? Jesus, I believe, was trying to safeguard those who had been healed by simply saying, tell no man. Stop dwelling on it, in other words. Stop rehearsing this. Okay? You've had a healing, give thanks for it. And go on. Go on. Okay? When Jesus told the blind man at Bethesda not even to enter the village, okay? Don't even enter the village. His intention was to keep the man away from the emotional excitement of the crowd. Oh my God, you're healed. Oh my. Do you think it'll last? Okay. That's the next thing. Do you think it'll last? Or it's just you're in regression. What does that mean? Release those kinds of thoughts, those kinds of feelings. Most of the people in Bethesda, and when Jesus suggests that the man not enter into the city. Most of the people, and I'm not going to say just Bethesda, but worldwide at this point, believed in the disease rather than the power of God to overcome, to heal. Believed in the disease because it was so obvious, something that maybe we could see. People could see, and we don't see God. Okay, we don't see that presence. We can feel it. We can experience. It's not something tangible. Okay, but some kind of disease can be tangible. So, had he had been healed, would not the tendency to shout out and to, here I am, and I'm whole, and I'm free, and whatever. But what does that say? Does that say that perhaps, the inner consciousness was one of, I don't think this could happen? How many times have we moved through a situation and wondered, well, I'm not sure how this happened because I wondered how it could ever happen. Have you ever had those kinds of stuff? How did this ever happen that I sold the house in 2 days when the economy was not? How did this happen? Okay? What happened here? Well, God was at work. That's what happened. God was at work. So Jesus knew, I believe, that healings come about through the grace of God and not through human effort. And that also the excited words form negative patterns, okay? Negative patterns that when we're still tender, may I say, in that awareness of healing, of wholeness, of freedom, that negative words can jar consciousness. Because we're not really settled into it, if that makes any sense to you. So after receiving the demonstration, we really must not make the mistake of rehearsing the experience. Don't rehearse the experience. Forget that which is back there. Give thanks for the freedom, for the healing, and go on about your business. So, does that mean never ever to speak of the healing? No, it doesn't mean not to ever speak of the healing. But I know of a situation where a person was healed of this dis-ease, and because they were truth students, it was 4 years before they ever told anyone, number one, that they had the condition, and number two, that they had been healed of it. And to this day, after many years, and I want to say many years, the person is radiant, free, beautiful. Anyway, sometimes people tell of a situation or of so-called disease, whatever, because it's for attention. And we want to make sure that we don't need that kind of attention, that negative attention, okay? That we don't need that. We need the inner attention of God. We need to put our attention to that inner place, So, and we don't need to compound the problem. When people come to counsel with me, sometimes, they tell me the situation, the problem, okay, and I'm willing to listen, okay. While they're telling me, I'm knowing the truth for them. I am knowing the truth for them because at that point, they don't know the truth. And when I talk with someone in confidence about something that I may be experiencing, I expect them to know the truth about me. Okay? After, in a counseling situation, after the person tells me the problem, pours their heart out, whatever, they have a tendency to go back over it. Start all over again. And I stop them. I heard you the first time. Let's move into the solution and release. Okay? Because the human part of us has a tendency to do that. Let me tell you again how bad it is. Let me tell you again how awful how this thing happened and how awful it was to me. Okay? Let me tell you, okay? So we don't need to do that. I remember an associate of mine called me one afternoon after Sunday service and was explaining to me about how that he had received a phone call from one of the members of his congregation, and how that he had shared the situation with the congregation, asking for prayer support for this individual that everyone knew, or most people knew, and invited all present there to join in prayer for that person. Well, there was the usual comments of, "Oh, isn't it terrible?" What kind of prayer is that? That's a prayer of negation. Okay? "Oh, isn't it terrible?" Or, "I do hope he'll be okay. I hope he will be." Okay? Would that be a prayer that Jesus Christ prayed? I don't think so. So he was pretty upset when he called and said, "I had no idea that would happen." I said, "You do now." You do now. It is the uplifting, freeing prayer that we say, even, for Prayer Pal Sunday. The little slips of paper we fill out. That's why I say, do not go into detail. Just simply your name and what you're standing in need of prayer for. The person that draws your name does not need to know all the gory details, because our tendency is to zero into that. We don't do that in unity. We do not do that in unity. There is, of course, a prayer of faith, but there is also a prayer of concern and of worry. Okay? And so we stand and find someone, and I've said this many times over, and one more time you're going to hear it. Find someone that can support you in positive prayer. If it's a counselor, if it's a minister, if it's your next door neighbor, if whatever, okay, that will support you in positive prayer. Not, "Oh, yes, I'll pray for you," but, "Oh, my." And when we get those little prayer slips, don't try to analyze, "Well, let's see. Now, I did see her limping. Well, that's what the healing must be about." That's none of your business. Pure and simple. That's none of your business. Your business is, if you draw one of those prayer sheets, if you exchange, your business is to pray a positive prayer, period. Not try to analyze what's wrong with the person that you pull their name. Now, that's really strong talking, but for you that know me, know that, healing is so important to me. It always has been. To speaking the word, to knowing the truth, whatever. And I know it works if we work it. But if we play games with it and abort it, forget it, Charlie, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. We abort it. We say a positive, and then we say, "Oh my God, I wonder." Ooh, yee. Forget it. Forget it. Anyway, talking about plans also. When we are planning on going someplace, doing something, whatever, it's always wise to, have this. It's a God idea. Have it between you and God, or a partner, or whatever, okay. But you don't need to advertise. You don't need to run an ad in the paper saying, "I'm going to Walla Walla in 2 weeks," whatever. But keep it, keep even this. And the reason why, very briefly, is because, one more time, when you share it with everyone, there's a good possibility that someone will say, "Oh my, you got to be kidding me. Have you heard of the war that's going on over there? Have you heard of what?" Okay? And oftentimes that divine idea, that wonderful vacation that you were about to take, is somehow just into the breeze. And why? Because you have accepted that idea that, oh, maybe I shouldn't go. Oh, geez, maybe this and this and this. Okay. An example, several years ago, many years ago, long before I was even a licensed teacher, I was active at Detroit Unity Temple. And I was going to a class, many classes, but anyway, and the minister was he and his wife were from Scotland. I just love both of them. He was so practical and so down to earth and so on. I just love both of them. And they had decided, they had been home to Scotland in quite a long time, several years. And they had decided that this year they're going to go. Well, everyone in the church knew that Helen and John were going to Scotland. I worked at the Detroit Temple. I worked in the office and so on, and I heard people say, "Wasn't that wonderful that they're going back to Scotland for a vacation?" But oh my God, I wonder. And it was one and then the other, whatever. Guess what? They did not go. This happened for 2 years. I believe it was 2 years. Maybe it had been 3 years. The same thing. Every year they're going to Scotland, and every year it never panned out. And finally, John, the minister, said to his wife, "Do you really want to go to Scotland?" Oh, yes, John, oh, yes. He said, "Then keep your mouth shut." So he was telling the class this, okay? But I happened to work in the office, and I kind of knew what all was going on, you know. He said, "Then keep your mouth shut." You know, Jesus said, "Tell no man." And you've been telling everybody, whoop-de-doo, you know, here we go, whatever. So he said, let's see what happens this time. That year, they not only went to Scotland, but they received as a gift luggage, brand new luggage, and money from the congregation, which was not asked for. No one asked. We didn't have a fund going or anything. It was so in order. But see, it wasn't aborted. And someone, John or Helen, one of them, accepted whatever the negativity that was given to them about going. Okay, about going. Are you sure that the airlines? Are you sure you'll be able to get back? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, let me know. Yes or no? Okay. So there is, you know, in Scripture, in Ecclesiastes, and I like this. To every purpose. You get that? To every purpose under heaven, there is a time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. So, you know, someone said, after observing humankind over a long period of years, I came to the conclusion that one of man's greatest troubles is the inability to be still. I think that's pretty true even for our meditation, for times of meditation. We have an active mind, okay? And we need to quiet it. You know, I've heard people say, you know, I never really get any what I consider God ideas. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. God, and I think they don't understand, or they don't get them because they're not quiet enough to listen. We're so busy sometimes talking to God about what our needs are that we forget to listen to what God has for us. There's that Spirit of God constantly speaking to us in that still small voice. Do we hear it? Do we take time to listen, to hear? So anyway, no matter how great your experience, no matter how excited you are about it, keep it to yourself and with someone that you know will stand with you. No matter how excited, the demonstration the demonstration is no longer on the inner, but it's in the outer, and then give thanks for it and allow it to take place, to be solid. To be solid. So, because really and truly, the ideas, the God ideas that we get, this idea of abundance, of wholeness, of health, of whatever it is a God idea, and it's between you and God. And the person or persons that you choose to stand with you and bring that divine idea from the inner to manifest form to the outer. So let's take a moment. And I'm going to ask you if you have been thinking about or praying about a divine idea, an idea that you feel is for your highest good, for all concerned, whatever that might be. I'd ask that you take this next couple of moments and gather that thought, that idea in your mind, and know that God only gives us the first step. And as we accept that first step, that God idea, the next step will be revealed to us. So whatever that thought, that divine idea may be, hold it in your consciousness. And I frequently say, Father, I'm trusting you with this God idea, as you are trusting me with this God idea to bring it forth into manifest form. So I nurture this divine idea with love and peace. I give thanks that I am the channel for this divine idea to take manifest form. I wait patiently for the next step in this unfoldment. I wait patiently, open and receptive, knowing that a God idea is complete in God mind. But as I become more open, I get to receive the next step in the unfoldment, and the manifestation, and the demonstration. So in faith and in confidence and in pure love, we rest, knowing that God has only good for us. We are the recipient. This idea, this divine idea, is between God and person. And how wonderful it is. How wonderful it is to know that we each have that God presence within us to bring forth into manifestation, into demonstration, that which God would have us to bring forth. And Father, we are so grateful for this time together in this truth.